Hello and welcome everyone. This is Professor Siddharth Surana. I hope you guys are doing good. और मैं तो हमेशा मस्त रहता हूँ. Welcome to episode number 2, revision cum amendment lecture in CA Final Direct Tax, May 21, November 21 attempt, 100% English version. So, like always, we have in the English mix separate and English separate this lecture, especially for students of South India. And I am making it a point that both language lectures I am recording simultaneously, and every day I am uploading one episode as and when recorded. But sir, you are saying every day. Why was there such a big gap between episode 1 and episode 2? Listen, in all my lectures I always say that I am must, I am nice, I am good, I am Adipoli and etc., all the South Indian languages. But now I am not saying that. The whole of India is. CA students across India are saying that between our first episode and second episode, we had CA final results. And what if I tell you that across the country, best results in CA final, yes, I proudly say it, best results in CA final, we have generated the best results of CA final across the country. Across the country, we have generated the best results in CA final. So I would just like to enlighten you about the results that we have got. I wish to congratulate, heartiest congratulations to all the students. I have Akshay from Kochi who got All India rank 6. I have Piyush from Vashi, which is All India 49. One wonders, can a professor of one subject claim credit of rank? Of course, when your students don't score good marks and you need something to claim credit, then you start advertising ranks. But let's be honest, rank means that student is really very intelligent. Of course, my rank holders have scored good marks in my subject also, but rank means that the student is talented and that the student has scored good marks in all the subjects, including yours. You were just one subject faculty. How can you claim credit of rank? I also agree. But is there something that I can claim credit of? Next to Piyush, you can see Asifa, 81 marks in CA Final Direct Tax. And Joel, again also from Kochi, 80 marks in CA Final Direct Tax. 81 marks. People don't score 81 as a total of 2 attempts. 81 marks. That's more than All India rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. Asifa was in old course, and the top 3 rank holders have got marks in 60s, 50s. I think rank 2 is in 70s, but she is more than all of them. Of course, Akshay and Piyush are rank holders. They have also scored really good marks, but Asifa and Joel have scored more than that. This is the result of hard work of so many years, when other people were instigating students to protest. Other people were busy doing marketing. Other people were busy doing all that stuff. My students were. I had told my students, you focus on your study, and their results have proven. But as I said, I as a faculty of one subject, do I deserve credit for rank? Of course not. You can say, no, you cannot claim credit of rank. Then listen, what if I tell you that I have an exemption of exemption? At least my subject marks I can take credit. Even if you say no, the students are willing to give me. So I am not taking your permission. My students have willingly given me credit of the marks that they have scored in my subject, which is more than anybody else. Exemption of exemptions. More exemptions than any other class, any other professor. In fact, the position is so bad that other classes are desperately requesting their students, please tell us if you have got an exemption so that we can do little marketing. We will give you gifts, etc. So we have got 62 exemptions. So first column, it's vertical. First column, you can see 27. Second column, again, we have 27. That's 54. Some students are over here. I really feel bad for those 3-4 students who contacted me after this poster was published, because the total is, I think, 65 or 66. There were 3-4 students who contacted later. Plus, other than that, a good number of students have got near exemption marks, almost an exemption, 59, 58, like that. But all of them have cleared group 2. Some of them have cleared both groups. Huge number of students have cleared, and the number of exemptions that my students have, that is more than anybody else in the country. That is more than the marks, at least the toppers have scored more than the All India rank holders. This is unprecedented. This is the result of hard work of so many years. All our lectures have done wonders our amendment lectures, revision lectures, everything was uploaded, and most importantly, MCQ series. Yes, season 2 is coming very soon. Very soon season 2 is coming. So MCQ lectures. Asifa, who scored 81, has shared her story, and that video is already uploaded. So last 1 week I was busy with all these things, which is why I could not record the revision cum amendment lecture. Plus my other online Zoom batches are also going on, but very soon they are about to get over, and once they get over, I'll focus on very quickly recording these amendment cum revision lectures, because we have season 2 of MCQs. Season 1 is already uploaded, 15 episodes that was applicable till November 20 cycle 2. If you are May 21, I suggest that you wait for the new season of MCQs, though you can watch them, but there are a lot of changes in the questions as well as answers. There are more than 100-150 questions that I have added in the book, so I suggest that you wait for season 2. Will first finish amendment cum revision lectures. Asifa has shared her story, her preparation strategy, notes making strategy, revision strategy, and she has given credit to my MCQs. See, dear student, these amendment and revision lectures also, if you watch every day, then you will be able to do justice. Likewise, MCQs, if you watch every day, then it is sensible. There are some students who regret. What is their regret? They didn't watch the lectures initially. After all the lectures were ready, they thought now we will watch. After 3-4 lectures, they realized they don't have time, and then they did not watch, and that is the regret. Asifa has clearly said she was watching it regularly every day, and as and when I was finishing, she was also finishing, and this is what lays down the difference in marks between my students and anybody else. And this hard work, where other people were busy protesting, instigating the students, my students have worked hard, and my results are proving these results are better than anybody else in the country. And now that I have produced such results, I think I can do a little bit of marketing, dear students. In 10 plus years, when it comes to quality of coaching, when it comes to quality of lecture delivery, command over the subject, control over the language, both North Hindi and South English, nobody has dared to even touch me. But there is one thing in which I have always lagged. There is one thing in which other people, competitors especially, could defeat me, and that one thing which I don't know how to do is called marketing. I have been very, very poor at it, very, very bad at it. I have always focused on quality. I have never done marketing, which is why other people, crazy amounts they are spending, crazy amounts, lakhs of rupees for increasing views, subscribers, etc. I have never done all that, and I don't plan to go to that level also, but at least with these kind of results I can do little. Our full course video lectures, both languages, Hindi English mix also, and 100% English for South, available for our students for May 21, November 21 attempt. You can contact our admin team, they will help you out with this. For these are full course lectures, these are real lectures. If you see the strategy of Asifa, she knows, she has watched my lecture. She said that till before my lecture she used to dislike DT, but after attending she came to know the reason behind enactment of every provision. Why did the lawmaker create that provision? Our full course lectures will make you an expert in taxation. You will know the reason behind everything. But if you don't have the time or patience to do so much, then you have one more option. Dream product for anybody studying for the second time at a ridiculous price, 2,500, CA final crash course again with half duration. And to tell you about the effectiveness, the first 5 chapters will be provided absolutely free. You can contact our admin team again on the same number, so you can go for the crash course also. Though as a teacher I would always suggest to go for full course, because I do real justice over there in detail. Obviously here if I am making the duration half, it cannot be, it cannot be in that much detail. Lot of things are cut down when it comes to explanation. The real beauty is full course. To save time and effort, you can go for the crash course. This is still better than anybody else on the same number, and I request you to cooperate with my admin team on the number. Since the results, they have had a lot of overload of work. They are not able to get any time. They keep one phone and they have to answer another phone. They are missing a lot of phone calls. So what I suggested, this is also a WhatsApp number. This number is also a WhatsApp number. You can possibly just send a WhatsApp message on this number, and they will reply to you as and when time is available. We are trying to do the best for you. Please cooperate with us. We didn't obviously we expect good results always, but such results that adult people will, other people will be out of competition. We never expected this. These are better than anybody else, and thus the admin team is a little busy. So please cooperate with them. There might be a little delay in processing your orders, etc. But I am trying to do the best for you, so you also cooperate with me, please. Now we will go further in the revision come amendment lecture. Dear students, please I request you to control your comments. Sir, please give schedule of these lectures. Sir, please tell us how many lectures you are going to tell. Sir, please tell us when will the lecture be uploaded. Sir, see, listen. It takes time to do good things, really good things. So I cannot give you a schedule. I do not expect me to give you a schedule. Good things are going to take time, and at an appropriate time it will be done. So be connected with the channel. First we will finish revision come amendment lecture, and then we will complete our MCQ season 2, which is coming very soon. Asifa also in her video said that maximum benefits we got from the MCQs. Our MCQ book is ready. It has already gone in printing. All our in-house students of full course, crash course, etc. have already started processing their couriers, but separately also you can acquire the MCQ book. Only at cost price it will be given. We never make any profit in books. At cost price only printing and courier will be charged, and the book can come to you. Kindly do not request for soft copies. Only during lockdown we provided soft copies, but we have traditionally never, and we will never provide soft copy of any book. So whatever you need, you can contact the admin team. Besides, if you are a student who has not cleared because of a wrong coaching decision, joining anywhere else, and now you want any guidance from me, you can still message my admin team for that also, but have patience when you expect your reply. So let's go ahead. In the order of our index, we will be doing our revision come amendment lecture. I don't know how many episodes it will take, because due to request of students, I am doing them a little more detailed, a little more precise, and in fact we have merged the revision and amendment lectures. So I don't know how many episodes, but we will go by the flow. I am working every day, and once my other ongoing batches will get over, I'll start working for higher duration on that. So very soon everything is going to happen. And if I am not wrong, in the last class we finished introduction chapter, we finished the DTAA. Introduction included new regime. We finished cash loans chapter, and in NRI taxation, I am going strictly in the order of my index. I am not going to adjust as per your order. You have to adjust as per my order. Strictly in the order of index of my textbook, I will be going further. So in NRI taxation, once I start the chapter, I first teach students in normal full course, where I actually teach everything in detail. I teach students some aspects about capital gain, and once those aspects about capital gains are taught, then we go to the actual chapter NRI. In the last class, I finished till that capital gain aspect, and now I am going to go further in the order of my textbook strictly. And please, I request that please control yourself. As and when the lectures will happen, I am going to provide them to you. From next week, I am definitely going to give more time for amendment come revision lectures and your MCQ lectures also. But first we will finish this. I have got one more thing coming up. I think I said in the last class, I don't remember, or I have not yet made an official announcement maybe, but I am telling you today that I am also working on a colored handwritten book. That is something which students are crazy about. Let me tell you, like all other concepts in CA coaching, like direct to home lectures, recorded video lectures, live lectures, 2-language lectures, all concepts introduced by me, copied by others. This concept called colored handwritten book is also my concept. I started this thing. I used to see the best notebook of the class and provide that note in the form of just scan that and upload that, and all the students used to take benefit. I never converted into, as I told you, I have been horrible when it comes to marketing. I am very bad at marketing. That is that one thing which I am not comfortable with, and that is why I have been lagging behind. But I have started working on a proper, converted into a proper book, and that is going to be better than any other, because my book will be more precise, more detailed compared to other. I believe the subject like direct tax, detailed study is required. Short study, compact study cannot be done in that. Detailed study is going to be required for a subject. So I am working on that also. So be patient. I am trying to do the best that I can. Do better than anybody else. I am trying to do that. but be patient with me, please. And I am going to go further now in the order of our index. We have finished in NRI taxation the capital gain part. When does asset become long term or short term? We have finished indexation part, special rate for long term, and stock market 111A, 112A also. Now we start the main chapter, combo, specific assessee, specific income. Combo. If the combo does not take place, normal rate. If the combo takes place, special rate, but optional, so assessee can go for normal rate. So what is the funda behind NRI taxation chapter? Taxation on NRIs, specific assessee, specific income. Combo does not take place, normal rate. Combo takes place, normal or special, whichever is beneficial, you will have to calculate both. Specific assessing, specific income, then special rate will apply. We will now go and learn what is this combo that I am talking about. Who is the specific assessee? Three conditions. Individual. So this chapter is applicable only to individual, not applicable to company firm, etc. Citizen of India or person of Indian origin. You can be any one of them, citizen or PIO, and non-resident during the year. Individual, citizen or PIO, non-resident. Individual, citizen or PIO, non-resident. If you are the specific assessee, and what are the specific incomes from these assets? Which assets? Shares of an Indian company will cover public private both. Debenture deposit of public company, central government securities, and any other asset notified. If you are getting investment income means, can I say, revenue recurring like dividend and interest, and now dividend is also taxable, and long term capital. This is why we do that capital gain first, because we should know when does gain become long term or short term. So investment income or long term capital gain, two incomes, only two incomes, anything else will go in normal rates. If a resident earns these incomes, it will go in normal rates. NRI having two incomes will be paying tax at special rate, but if you like normal, you can go and pay tax at normal rates also. Specific assessee, specific income, specific assessee, specific income. If the combo takes place, then special rate will apply. And now, what is the specific assessee? Individual, citizen, PIO, any one of them, non-resident during the year. And what are the specific incomes? From a forex asset, if you get any investment income or any long-term capital gain, all other incomes will be taxable at normal rate. And what are the special rates for this? For investment income, 20%, long-term capital gain, 10%. That's it. That's the chapter. Specific assessee, non-resident, citizen or PIO, non-resident during the year, individual. Specific incomes are investment income and LTCG, investment income and LTCG. And what are the rates? Investment income 20%, LTCG 10%, but these are basic rates. So if surcharge is applicable, you will have to add. These are individuals we already saw. So after 50 lakh 10%, after 1 crore 15%, after 2 crore 25%, after 5 crore 37%. And we will be adding health and education cess. That will come always. So finally the chapter gets concluded here. How? Specific assessee, individual, citizen or PIO, non-resident. Specific income, investment income or LTCG from a forex asset. And what are the rates? Investment income 20% plus SC plus HEC. LTCG 10% plus SC plus HEC. But these special rates come with a catch. No deduction of expense. No chapter 6A. No basic exemption. Flat rate. And if we talk about LTCG, of course, we have to give deduction of expense. So transfer expense, cost of acquisition will be allowed. But indexation will not be allowed. And chapter 6A basic exemption will not be allowed. So if you go in special rate, no deduction of expense, no indexation for LTCG, no basic exemption, no chapter 6A. Can we go to normal? Yes, sir. Special rates are optional. Can we go to normal? Yes. If you go in normal, you will get deduction of expense, you will get basic exemption, you will get chapter 6A. Everything will go in normal. But if we talk about LTCG, you won't get indexation in normal also, because these are securities non-residents will not get. You won't get chapter 6 and basic exemption. Listen to my sentence. For LTCG, the normal rate is also special. For LTCG, normal rate is also special. So no basic exemption, no chapter 6. Unexhausted basic exemption limit is available against 111A, 112, 112A, but only resident individual, resident HUF, non-resident will not get. So finally, individual, citizen, PIO. Investment income 20%, LTCG 10%. Option 1, take these rates. Option 2, go to normal rates. If you take these rates, then restriction will be applicable. Normal rate restriction will not be applicable. And if you have other incomes, compulsory on that, you have to take normal rates, obviously. That's your chapter. Some other small provision. If you want exemption from LTCG, what to do? Within 6 months from transfer, invest in another forex asset, but you have to invest your net sale consideration. If entire net sale consideration is invested, entire capital gain will be exempt, otherwise proportionate exempt. Entire NSE invested, entire capital gain exempt, otherwise proportionate exempt. 115G, very important section. If you don't have any other taxable income in India, and TDS is fully deducted. No other taxable income, TDS fully deducted. No other taxable income, TDS is fully deducted. Then no need to file return of income. No need to file return of income. 115I, we already saw that these are optional provisions, and 115H says once you become resident, you will still get the option if at the time of purchase of asset you were non-resident. If at the time of purchase of asset you are non-resident, then at the time of getting the income, even if you have become resident, option will be available till the time you are holding the asset. So you can be non-resident during income, or you can be non-resident during acquiring. It is still, option is still going to be available. So for specific incomes, we have normal or special, which are beneficial. But for other incomes, it is always going to be normal rate, because special rate will be applicable only if the combo has taken place. Specific assessee, individual, citizen or PI or non-resident, and specific income, investment income and long-term capital gain. In this chapter, there is only one amendment that has taken place, but a huge thing. Let me tell you why. First time in my career of chartered accountancy, so few years earlier as a student, and now so many years as a teacher, first time there is a change in residential status of individuals. First time. We have Nirmala ma'am, no? Making amendments is her hobby. She does that every day. She brings budget and then continuously she brings. In budget, she is not bringing any amendment. And then later, every day almost she is bringing amendments. So she has this hobby of bringing amendments. So she has amended residential status of individual. Why is it relevant? See, I teach residential status to CA final students. Also, obviously in full course in detail. These are revision lectures. Why is residential status important? One, in this chapter you have to be non-resident. So it is important. Non-resident means international tax. It is important. Residential status is divided in two steps. In step 1, we decide resident or non-resident, resident or non-resident. And in step 2, we decide ROR or RNOR. ROR or RNOR. Correct or no? What you need to understand is, to come in this chapter, the answer of step 1 has to be non-resident, because this chapter is applicable only for non-residents. But for step 2, you have to be resident, because ROR or RNOR. ROR or RNOR if you are resident. So listen, step 1 will decide resident or non-resident. If it is non-resident, welcome to this chapter, NRI taxation. If it is resident, get out of this chapter. Chapter not applicable, but step 2 will come. That means one thing is for sure, any assessee falling in NRI taxation, step 2 will not come, but we will still learn ROR, RNOR, because in assessment procedure it will help us. And there is an amendment in our step number 1. Till so many years, there were 2 conditions to become resident. 182 in current year, or 16 current year, 365 last 4 year. 182, 63, 65. 182, 63, 65. This 182 is as it is. So no amendment here. 63, 65, there is a small amendment. I'll come to that later. But now we have a third way of becoming resident. So till so many years, we had only 2 ways of becoming resident. Now we have a third way, with effect from AY 21-22. If aggregate of income accruing or arising in India, that means, can I say Indian income as per source principle, plus income arising outside India from a business controlled or profession set up in India, means Indian income plus foreign income controlled from India. Indian income plus foreign income controlled from India. If that is exceeding rupees 15 lakhs. And you are not a resident in any other country. When we study DTAA in full course lectures, I tell students about a concept called tax residency certificate. Some people are very clever. They stay 40 days in one country, 30 days in another country, 50 days in third country. They split that stay in such a way that they are not a resident anywhere else. So you are earning huge amount in India. What is the definition of huge amount? More than 15 lakh. Which income? Let's be clear about that income. Indian income, total, plus foreign income which is controlled from India, business control or profession set up in India. Indian income total plus foreign income controlled from India. Indian income total plus foreign income controlled from India. If that amount is exceeding 15 lakh rupees, Indian income total plus foreign income controlled from India, if that is exceeding 15 lakh rupees, then we will make you a resident in India if you are not a resident anywhere else. So if you are resident anywhere else, congratulations. If not, then you are resident. Means if I have to say the amendment in one line, if you are not a resident anywhere else, you will be resident here. Not resident anywhere else, you will be resident here. Not resident anywhere else, you will be resident here if the income is crossing 15 lakh. And I already explained which income? Total of Indian income plus foreign control from India. Such people will become residents. Global income will be taxable. If you are not resident anywhere else, you will be resident in India, global income will be taxable. Followed? But supposingly they have become resident somewhere else. That means already that country is taking tax. Then what we will do is, this condition 6365, which was 6365, is still there for everyone. But those people where this income is exceeding 15 lakh, the same income which we have written here. If they are not resident anywhere else, that means they will cover in this point. But if they have become resident anywhere else, so then we will relax the provision in India. Instead of 60, we will make it 120. Instead of 60, we will make it 120. So let's split the 3 one by one. 182 days in India, story clear. You are a resident. Story over. More than 15 lakh, I have defined that income for you. More than 15 lakh. Not resident anywhere else, then resident in India. All other people, 63, 65 is there. But these people whose income is already more than 15 lakh and they are resident somewhere else, means this point is not applicable. You are resident in some other country, so this point is not applicable. This point will be applicable only if you are not a resident anywhere. For you, because already there is good probability of becoming resident due to this point, so we will reduce the risk over here and we will increase the number of days from 60 to 120. So finally, 182 days in the current year. 60 days current year, 365 last 4 years. But if your Indian income plus foreign income control from India is more than 15 lakh, then instead of 60, 365, it will be 120, 365 if you are not resident anywhere else. If you are a resident anywhere else. Because if you are not a resident anywhere else, then anyways you are going to get covered here. That's the change that they have brought in. Residential status, and we know that 2 people, condition 2 is not applicable. Which are the 2 people, condition 2 not applicable? Citizen of India, person of Indian origin, going outside India for earning, employment, crew member of Indian ship, but continuous discharge certificate period will be excluded. And second, citizen of India or person of Indian origin, living outside, coming for a visit. Correct? And then step 2, we decide ROR or R. NOR not relevant for this chapter, but it is relevant for assessment procedure. Last 7 years, minimum 730 days, and at least 2 out of last 10 years, you should be a resident. Both conditions should be fulfilled. Then you become ROR. But they have brought one amendment here also. Remember those 2 cases, 15 lakh cases, one where 60 is becoming 120 and 365, and second, not resident anywhere else than resident in India. They will always be considered as RNOR. We are making them resident, but we will always make them RNOR. They will never become ordinary. They will always be considered as not ordinary resident. So that's this one amendment that has taken place is residential status, which I teach students in NRI chapter. That is why I have discussed this year. These lectures will be proceeding as per how I teach in full course lectures, revising those provisions instead of going in detail. And obviously the amendments, I am telling you the logic, that only makes sense. These are revision cum amendment lectures. Alright. So that was your chapter NRI taxation. That was your chapter NRI taxation. Without wasting any time, let us move ahead. Let's go to our next chapter, strictly in the order of the index of our main textbook. At least till the time the handwritten book is not ready, we will have to go by this only. But I am not sure whether I will be able to make it ready by the May 21 attempt, though I am working very hard. And as and when we proceed in our revision lectures, I will give you some highlights about those lectures. Let's come to next chapter, special rates of tax, chapter 12. Once again, the main idea is same. Specific assessee, specific income. If the combo does not take place, normal rate. Special rate will apply only if the combo has taken place. If the combo takes place in NRI, you have to do normal, special, both, which are beneficial. The main difference between NRI and special rates, main difference is that here the special rates are compulsory, and as a student it is easy for you. I'll tell you why. Combo does not take place There and here, both places, NRI special rates, both chapters, normal rate. Combo does not take place, normal rate. But if the combo takes place, there you have to do both normal or special, normal or special. Here there is only one rate. This rate is going to be compulsory. If the combo takes place, special rate is going to be compulsory. Special rate is going to be compulsory. But let's have a few points to be noted about this chapter. First, because the special rates are compulsory, no basic exemption, no chapter 6A, no deduction of expense, and if at all there is ever any long-term capital gain, there will be no indexation. Whatever rates we are learning, they are only basic tax rates. We will always add surcharge if applicable. HEC is always going to be applicable. One very, very important thing that I would like you to note that NRI falls in chapter 12A. And this is chapter 12. This is section 110 to 115 BBG. And NRI starts at 115C, which is chapter 12A. Why do I need to tell you this? Because we have our new taxation regime. 115BAA and BAB is for companies. BAC is for individual HUF. BAD is for resident cooperative society. Do you understand? All these sections fall in this. 115BAA, BAB, BAC, BAD fall in new taxation regime. They fall in chapter 12. And they start with a non-obstanted clause. I am going to talk to you in a little technical language. Notwithstanding anything contained anywhere in income tax. Means when you apply these provisions, we will ignore everything of income tax when you take new taxation regime. No deductions and all that, we will not give you anything. But subject to the provisions of this chapter. Means when you go in new regime, ignore everything in income tax. When you go in new regime, ignore everything in income tax. But this chapter you have to give respect. Special rates. Chapter 12. And this is why when I did introduction chapter, I told you that if you are in old regime, normal income, normal rates, special income, special rates. That's this chapter. If you go in new regime also, these special rates will apply. So segregate them, separate and apply these rates. And in your normal income, you can decide old regime or new regime. Whatever is your entity, special rates will be separate. Normal rates income can be old or new, old or new, old or new. Special rates will always be separate. But that is only for chapter 12. And chapter 12A is not chapter 12. It's a different chapter. So if you go in new regime, then NRI will not be applicable. Special rates will apply in new regime, NRI will not be applicable. This is a very, very important thing. And lastly, supposingly there is a DTAA which is giving a concessional rate. So then this will not be compulsory. We are saying this is compulsory, 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 compulsory. Compared with any other provisions of the Act in old regime, new regime. In that, if you compare with the Income Tax Act, these rates, special rates, whatever we have, these special rates are compulsory. Compared with any other provision, these special rates are compulsory. But DTAA is a separate document. An Act or DTAA, whichever is beneficial. So compared with Income Tax Act, these rates are compulsory even in new regime. But when compared with Income Tax Act, if DTAA is beneficial, then DTAA rates will be available. So what is the introduction of special rates of tax? Combo does not take place. This combo. In order for this rate to apply, it has to be this combo. For example, first section we have non-resident. If this income is earned by resident, then this rate will not apply. If a non-resident is earning any other income, anything else, then this rate will not apply. Only when the combo takes place, these rates will apply. So, if the combo does not take place, normal rate, NRI special rates, both chapter. If the combo takes place, here it is compulsory, special rate is going to be compulsory. So, thus no deduction of expense, no basic exemption, no chapter 6A, no indexation for LTC. Surcharge and HEC will be added. DTAA benefit, if applicable, you can take that. No problem. And these rates will be compulsory even in your new taxation regime. That's your chapter, special rates of tax. Let's have now a look at what are the sections. Remember, we are revising these sections. Of course, wherever there are more amendments, we will be focusing on them in detail. First section, a very, very important section. We all know that in international tax, both paper 7 and 6, who is the assessing? Non-resident foreign company. Non-resident foreign company. Now listen, if these incomes are earned by non-resident foreign company, these rates will apply. If some other income is earned, then these rates will not apply. Then these rates will not apply. If these incomes are earned by resident, then also this rate will not apply. For 20% or 4 or 5, whatever is given for that to apply, it has to be a combo. So non-resident or foreign company. Right from the beginning we have amendments. Dividend income and share of profit from mutual fund. Till last year we were ignoring them because company pays DDT, dividend will be exempt, mutual fund pays IDT, income from mutual fund will be exempt. These two incomes used to be exempt. In introduction I told you, I remind you, DDT, IDT abolished, abolished, abolished. No DDT on the company, no IDT on mutual fund. Can I say dividend income and mutual fund profit will now be taxable for the receiving shareholder and unit holder respectively, and they will be taxed at 20%. Dividend income 20%, share of profit from mutual fund 20%. But dividend if you receive from business trust. Now these are revision lectures. So it is understood that you have studied your subject once and you have idea about what is business trust. Though we will go into detail later. That dividend from business trust we are separately notifying here will be taxed at 10%. Mind you, for non-resident. If it is resident, we will see it separate. This section is applicable only for non-resident. So except this, all dividends will come. All other dividends will come here. So we can divide it into three parts. Share of profit from mutual fund, 20%. Dividend from business trust, 10%. All other dividend, 20. Mutual fund 20, all other dividend 20, only business trust dividend will be taxable at 10%. That was our discussion about dividend income. Second income, interest on a foreign currency loan will be taxed. This is also covered in 20%, but a lot of interest is excluded because for that separate rates are given. The amendments are also there. We will talk about that. First, let's talk about 5% because it is not an amendment. Interest from infrastructure debt fund, Indian company long-term borrowings, interest received by FII or QFI in rupee denominated bonds, interest as unit holder of business trust. They were all covered in 5% for so many years, and now in 5% we will add one more. Municipal debt securities. Whenever municipal corporation wants to raise finance by issuing securities, that will also get covered here. So normal rate is 20, but these 5 cases, infrastructure debt fund, long-term borrowings, business trust, qualified foreign investor, rupee denominated bonds, and municipal debt securities will be 5%. So they are all excluded from 20%. Other than that, we all know that this is an existing provision that rupee denominated bonds issued during this period, it was exempt. So the issue date has to be after 31st March 19. So rupee denominated bonds, normally it is 5%, but issued during this period will be exempt. And another thing, that any interest received on IFSC, if the bonds were issued after 1st September 19, this was an amendment last year, it was exempt. But now they are again changing the rule. If the issue is happening from 1st April 2020, then it will be taxable and a new rate is being introduced at 4%. Accordingly, now interest income of non-resident will have 3 rates. 4 will be applicable only on IFSC for bonds issued after 1/4/20. Only for that. 5% will apply for, and this is an amendment by the way, 4%. 5 will apply infrastructure debt fund, existing rule. Indian company long-term borrowing, existing rule. Business trust, existing rule. Qualified foreign investor in rupee denominated bonds, existing rule, including issued during this period will be exempt. That was also existing rule. Municipal debt securities is an amendment. So, and every other thing will go in 20%. That's also normal rule. So, in dividend we have that way 2 rates, but total 3. Mutual fund 20%, business trust 10, other dividend 20. In interest also we have 3 rates. Normal 20. These cases will come in 5. Only this one case is exempt, and IFSC will, which was exempt, will now become taxable at 4%. And as far as royalty and fees for technical services for non-resident is concerned, royalty and FTS will be taxable at a rate of 10%. If 44DA is not satisfied, of course, if you satisfy conditions of 44DA, you get an additional option. This was the biggest and the most important section of the chapter. The others are not so big. 115AB, overseas financial organization, foreign investor which invests in mutual funds. Till last year, this profit was exempt. Now it is taxable. And long-term capital gain without indexation. In this chapter, there will be no indexation. And the concessional rate of 10% will prove it. So last year only this was taxable. Now both will be taxable at 10%. No indexation. Anything else, including short-term, normal rates. 115AC, non-resident. What incomes are they giving? Income from notified bonds of a public sector company or bonds of notified Indian company. So if bonds are notified public sector company, if company is notified any bonds, income from ADR, GDR. This was also exempt because it was dividend. Now that will also be taxable. LTCG on both the bonds and the ADR, GDR. All 3 are 10 obviously, because it is 10, it has to be without without indexation. So 3 incomes covered in 115 AC. 115 ACA, first time we are covering resident employees of Indian company or subsidiary of such company doing specified knowledge based industry or service. What do you mean by specified knowledge based industry or service? Information technology, software, service, biotechnology, pharmaceutical, entertainment, any other notified. If the company is doing this business and we give ESOP to our employees, which they convert into ADR, GDR, then that dividend will be taxed at 10% and long-term capital gain also 10% because it is 10. Once again, no indexation. Foreign institutional investor, these are also foreign investor, but they don't go through mutual fund. They directly invest in securities. OFO will take mutual fund. FII will take directly. So if they have any income from securities, revenue income taxable at 20%. But if the interest is earned as a qualified foreign investor, then that will get covered in 5% 115A. So this will be split. Anything earned as QFI 5%. Other securities related income. Now dividend is also taxable 20%. Only QFI 5%. Everything else 20%. So revenue income divided into two parts, 20% and 5%. Long-term capital gain without indexation 10%. But this also will have two parts. Anything covered in 112A, that is equity shares, units of equity oriented mutual fund, units of business trust. First 1 lakh no tax, after 1 lakh 10%. That will be separate, and all other long-term capital gain flat 10%. So first the indexation benefit won't be there. Difference is the first 1 lakh. In 112A you get 1 lakh benefit, in other cases you won't. So in income of securities will be split into QFI 5%, other 20. Income of LTCG will be split into two parts. 112A 10% on excess over 1 lakh and other income 10%. And short term, the only section in the chapter where short term has special rate. If covered in 111A, STT paid on 3 assets, 15, not covered then 30. So totally 6 parts. 2 parts for revenue income, 2 parts for LTCG, 2 parts for short term capital gain. This is how incomes of FIIs will be taxable. All assessees for casual winnings, lottery, etc. 30%. 115 BBA, again a very important section in international tax. Non-resident foreign national sportsmen, sports association, entertainer and their respective incomes. Game or sport, advertisement and articles is for sportsmen. Guaranteed amount is for association and performances in India. All the incomes will be taxable at 20%. Along with that, we studied case law also over here. That umpire etc. is not sportsman. This section will not be applicable. We studied that. TDS will obviously be deducted. If the pay is non-resident, then TDS has to be deducted. And do you remember? No other income and TDS is fully deducted. No other income and TDS is fully deducted. No other income and TDS is fully deducted. 4 cases, no need to file return. 1 was NRI. And 3 in this chapter. Which 3? 115A, the most important section of the chapter. 115AC, that is bonds, ADR, GDR and 115 BBA. 4 sections, 3 in this, 1 in NRI. No other income, TDS deducted. Sorry. No other income, TDS deducted. No other income, TDS deducted. If these 2 conditions are satisfied, then no need to file return of income. If 2 conditions are satisfied, no need to file return of income. 4 cases in income tax. If 2 conditions are satisfied, no other income and TDS fully deducted, then no need to file return of income. 115 BBA. 115 BBD, Indian company acquiring 26% or more in a foreign company, that dividend income we are giving a concessional rate of tax 15%. If you have got any unexplained cash credit, investment, expenditure, unexplained money, massive 60%. Plus there will be surcharge always 25, compulsory surcharge 25. With HEC, the effective rate of this provision will come to 78% is going to be the tax rate here. 78%. Next, royalty income for resident who is true and first inventor of patent. The only section in the chapter which is optional. You can go to normal rates or you can take this 10%. If you exercise this option, then you have to take it for minimum 5 years. And last section, income from transfer of carbon credits will be taxable at 10%. Other provisions we already discussed. No expense, no chapter 6A, no basic exemption, no indexation. These rates will apply even in new taxation regime. No need to file ROI. 3 cases in this chapter, 1 in NRI. All 4 true conditions, no other income. TDS fully deducted. Here they have given meaning. I have given you meaning of ADR, GDR. List of specified knowledge based industry or service. I already told you. These are your general points to be noted, and that was your chapter, special rates of tax. in your revision cum amendment lecture in the order of textbook. Let's go ahead. Next chapter that we have. First good news, dividend distribution tax abolished. Second good news, income distribution tax abolished. DDT, IDT both abolished, and that is why dividend income and share of profit from mutual fund, which was exempt, will now become taxable, because the exemptions are now abolished, because the DDT and IDT is abolished. Sir, wow, now DDT and IDT is abolished, so you have to teach less, so your hard work has reduced. So and what about new taxation regime? Who has worked hard over there? That work has not increased. In all, if you calculate total, add less, the net amount is increased only. The total hard work, the total duration of lectures has increased only. Everything is increasing, hard work is increasing, my tummy is increasing, spreading everywhere, shapeless. Only my salary is not increasing. Bad luck, because I have not done marketing like other people. Very bad at it. Should learn actually. Okay, then for the time being, let's go ahead. Then with the abolition of DDT and IDT, there is only one tax left in this chapter. Buyback tax. Whenever a domestic company, what is a domestic company? All Indian companies. Foreign companies, if they make arrangement for distribution of dividend in India, if they are doing buyback, listed or unlisted. Remember last year there was an amendment. Earlier it was unlisted, now it will be listed, unlisted, both. 20% basic, compulsory surcharge 12% and 4% HEC, net being 23.296, and there is no grossing up here, so it will be 23.296, but not on the distribution, on the gain. So for every shareholder, you have to find out his purchase price. Amount paid as buyback price minus his purchase price, the net gain into 23.296 is going to be the buyback tax liability. Pay within 14 days, otherwise 1% per month or part interest, and failure will make company as well as principal officer assessee in default. Very small chapter now. This is compulsory even if your income tax is exempt. So agriculture company doing buyback tax is going to be compulsory. This is a direct tax, so there will be no deduction. Direct tax is always disallowed. Once buyback tax is paid, then it will be exempt. Likewise, dividend 1034, mutual fund profit 1035, exemptions were there only, but they are deleted because DDT, IDT is deleted. And buyback meaning is same as what you have studied in company law, reduction of paid up share capital. That is your buyback, that's your buyback tax. That very small chapter because of removal of DDT and IDT. Next, special provisions for assessees working in special economic zone. Quickly I'll tell you, what is the tax holiday in SEZ? 15-year tax holiday divided in 3 slots. 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. Year 1 to 5, different calculation. 6 to 10, different calculation. 11 to 15, different calculation. In all the 3, step 1, qualifying amount. Qualifying amount is what? Profit into export upon total turnover. Profit into export upon total. Profit into export upon total. That's your qualifying amount. That's your step 1 for all 15 years. And step 2 is your deduction. For year 1 to 5, 100% of qualifying amount. For year 6 to 10, 50% of qualifying amount. And year 11 to 15, 50% of qualifying amount or amount transferred to SEZ reinvestment reserve, whichever is lower. In all 3, step 1 will be qualifying amount. How do you do that? Revise it. Profit into export upon total. First 5 years, 100% of that. Next 5 years, 50%. And last 5 years, 50% or amount transferred to SEZ reinvestment reserve, whichever is lower. This deduction you can take provided you fulfill the conditions. Quickly I will revise the conditions for you. This is available for all assessees, individual, HF, etc. But you have to be doing export of any article or thing or providing any service from SEZ. Your period given here is AY 67 to AY 2021. If I convert into PY, then it becomes 5/6 to 1920. So we are in AY 21-22 now. So in AY 21-22, we will not get deduction. Arey, listen, this condition is to commence your business. If you commence in this slot, you get your 15-year tax holiday even after 1920. The rule is that your business should begin during this period. Any person who has started working in SEZ during this period will be eligible for the 15-year tax holiday. First 5 years, 100% of qualifying amount. Year 6 to 10, 50% of qualifying amount. Year 11 to 15, 50% or amount transferred to reinvestment reserve, whichever is beneficial. 15-year tax holiday is going to be available. Are you clearly understanding what is happening here? Okay, let's see what are the conditions. First, this should not be splitting up or reconstruction of existing business, not splitting up or reconstruction. You should not be finishing your existing business and shifting to SEZ. Then second hand plant and machinery should be maximum 20%. So new local, and this condition is there here 35 AD, 80 double J double M. New machinery allowed. Imported second hand allowed. Local second hand maximum 20% of your total plant and machinery. You need report of a chartered accountant. Now there is this one amendment which has taken place in a lot of chapters. Wherever report of CA is required, not just here. Here, MAT book profit computation, 29B, form 29B, AMT, adjusted total income, 80 double J double A, lot of places. Wherever report of CA is required, this amendment has taken place. What is this amendment? Till last year, the report of CA had to be submitted before the return filing due date, on or before 139(1) due date. And return filing and tax audit due date were same, both were 30th September. But one of the biggest changes in income tax that has taken place in assessment procedure, that the due date of return filing will change from 30th September to 31st October. Audit cases, the due date, new due date will be doing in assessment procedure, September will become October. But audit has to be done up to 30th September. So first audit will, I wonder what is going on. They have gone mad, I think. Crazy there. Means in my audit report, I have to write whether the assessee has complied with 43B or no. Payments before the due date of return filing. Then only we get deduction. And there is one more month remaining for filing of return. Then how will I do audit? How will I certify that? How would I know that? How can audit happen before return? I am not understanding that only. So now audit has to be done up to 30th September, return has to be filed up to 31st October. Can I say different dates? So now they have changed, instead of saying on or before due date of return filing, they are now saying on or before 44 AB due date. Year, MAT, AMT, 80 double J double M. The CA report has to be furnished on or before the due date of tax audit, which is 1 month before return filing due date now. They are changed. They are separate. Earlier they were both September. Now return will shift to October and audit will remain in September. Period of deduction I already explained to you. The quantum, the last 5 years, year 11 to 15 is available only if you transfer money to SEZ reinvestment reserve, which you have to use within 3 years from the end of the year to acquire machinery. During this period, you can use for any other purpose, except you are not allowed to distribute dividend, you are not allowed to make payment outside India, and you are not allowed to acquire asset outside India. Except these 3 things, you are allowed to do everything else. And then some other condition, if there is, this is computation of qualifying amount, if there is any misuse or unutilized funds, then they will become taxable. Audit report I already told you. There are some other condition. Mind you, this is deduction. This is not section 10. 10 is not same as 10 AA. And because it is deduction, maximum deduction will be equal to gross total income, not more than that. Secondly, this is not exempt income. So if there is loss, you will get set off carry forward. Exempt income, then loss will lapse. But this is deduction. So maximum deduction to the extent of GTI. If there is loss, you will get set off carry forward. Inter-business transfer has to be at fair market value. In fact, if it is more than 20 crore, then domestic transfer pricing will also apply. Inter-business transfer at fair market value. Okay. Your return of income has to be filed on time. Our government has become very, very strict. So whenever you are now delaying filing of ROI, if return is filed late, then this tax benefit will not be available. For late return, no tax benefit. And lastly, for the same business, you cannot take 10 AA and 35 AD both. Same assessee, different business, one business 10 AA, one business 35 AD allowed. Same assessee, different business allowed. But same business, you cannot take both deduction. That was your SEZ benefit under 10 AA. Let's go ahead to our next chapter, assessment of business trust. Quick revision of what this chapter is. Unit holders will invest money in business trust. Business trust will be of 2 types. InvIT will invest in infrastructure market. InvIT will invest in infrastructure market, and REIT will invest in real estate market. So they will take money from unit holders and provide funding. REIT in real estate and InvIT in infrastructure. They will buy shares, debentures. REIT can acquire property. So they will get incomes, dividend from shares, interest from debentures, rent from property, and all the capital gains. We have to learn the tax treatment of the same. We have to learn the tax treatment. And whenever we acquire controlling interest, that company will be called special purpose vehicle. So we can get dividend from SPV, non-SPV. We can get interest from SPV, non-SPV, and REIT can get rental income also. What is the tax treatment? Anything received from SPV will be exempt for business trust. And no change here. It was exempt last year also, this year also. Dividend, despite DDT abolished, it will be exempt. In fact, non-SPV dividend was also exempt because of DDT. That income from non-SPV will become taxable. That means interest from SPV exempt. Rent is exempt. Rent is exempt in the next subsection. Rent is exempt. Dividend last year SPV, non-SPV both was exempt because of DDT. Now DDT is removed, but we will make only non-SPV taxable. SPV is still exempt. We will make unit holder pay tax on that. Like interest, we will do it. So interest, what was happening last year? SPV interest, unit holder is paying tax, and non-SPV interest, business trust is paying tax. Dividend, both cases it was exempt because of DDT. Now it will be taxable, same as interest. So SPV, dividend and interest both. Business trust exempt, unit holder will pay tax, and non-SPV both business trust will pay tax. So finally, we will take the total of income of business trust. From this total, three incomes are exempt: interest from SPV, dividend from SPV, rent. Interest from SPV, dividend from SPV, rent. Three incomes exempt. Last year we had one more, dividend from non-SPV because of DDT. Now that is taxable. So only three incomes exempt: interest from SPV, dividend from SPV, rent. Three incomes exempt. Everything else taxable. What rate? MMR. 30% basic, 37 surcharge, 4% HEC, 42.744 MMR. 42.744 MMR. But if your income contains any 111A or 112, you can take that. So do one thing, take total of income of business trust. Exempt three incomes: interest from SPV, dividend from SPV, and rent. The remaining will be your entity. What rate to apply? If there is any 111A, apply that rate. If there is any 112, apply that rate. Everything else will tax at MMR. Story over. And now let's talk about those three incomes. These three incomes which we have given exemption to business trust. So who will pay tax? Interest income from SPV, unit holder will pay tax. What rate? Non-resident will pay tax at 5% and resident unit holder will pay tax as per normal rate. And for non-resident, TDS will be same as tax rate, but for resident we will keep a flat TDS rate 10%, and due to COVID some sections of TDS the rate has reduced, so this 10 will become 7.5. Rental income, there is no special rate. Remember, there was special rate only for interest and dividend, that also for non-residents. Rental income, so for both it will be taxable as per normal rates. For non-resident, TDS will be as per applicable rates, and for resident, TDS will be 10 or 7.5. And dividend income from SPV, till last year it was exempt. Now business trust still exempt, but unit holder will pay tax, because business trust has not paid only on three: interest from SPV, we are taxing unit holders; resident normal rate, non-resident 5%; rent, taxing both at normal rates. And now dividend from SPV will also be taxable resident normal rates and non-resident. That amendment in 115A 10%. That amendment in 115A 10%. So interest from SPV, dividend from SPV, rent, these three incomes exempt for business trust, taxable for unit holders. In that, resident unit holder on all three incomes will pay tax at normal rate. Let's clear resident. All three incomes normal rate, TDS at 10 or 7.5. Pre-COVID or post-COVID, we'll learn this amendment in TDS. For non-resident, interest 5%, dividend 10%, and rent normal rates, and whatever is the tax rate will also become the TDS rate. But one last thing that you have to notice, dividend from SPV, which is unconditionally exempt for business trust, even after abolishing of DDT, will become taxable for unit holders. I told you the rates also: resident normal rate and TDS at 10 or 7.5. Non-resident 10% tax rate under 115A, and that will also become the TDS rate. But only if the SPV is taking the new regime. That means if the SPV is paying tax in old regime, dividend will be exempt for unit holder. DDT has gone. Business trust will not pay on SPV, it will pay on non-SPV. But SPV interest will be taxable for unit holder only if the SPV has opted for new taxation regime. Only if the SPV has opted for new taxation regime. Are we clear on this? Okay. And that's what we have discussed here. 115A, what did we say? Dividend income will be taxable. Interest will be taxable at 5%. This is for non-resident. Interest at 5. And dividend will be taxable at 10, but only if SPV has opted for 115BAA. If the SPV is in old regime, then dividend income will not be taxable. And whenever you sell the units, 111A, 112A, because equity shares, units of equity oriented mutual fund, units of business trust, three assets were covered. But SEBI has changed rule. Earlier, business trust units were to be compulsorily listed. Now SEBI has changed the rules. So business trust can have unlisted shares also. Unlisted units, pardon, unlisted units also. Then 111A, 112A will not apply normal capital gain. So if listed, then 111A, 112A STT is paid. If unlisted, then normal capital gain will apply, and business trust is to compulsorily file ROI. Tax will be MMR subject to 111A, 112. I already told you that. That was our assessment of business trust. Let's go ahead. Assessment of investment fund, absolutely same concept. Therefore, we always prefer to do in the same class. Investor will invest in investment fund, and investment fund will provide funding in the market. It can buy shares, it will earn dividend. It can buy debt, it will earn interest, and it can have own business. Business income will be taxable, everything else exempt for investment fund because unit holder will pay tax, now including dividend income. Till last year dividend was exempt, business income for investment fund, everything else for unit holders. Now it is in fact easy. Take total. PGBP taxable for investment fund, everything else taxable for unit holder, whether distributed or not distributed. Distributed or not distributed. Main difference between business trust and investment fund. In business trust, unit holders pay tax on those three incomes only in proportion of distribution. Here, whether distributed or not distributed, you have to pay tax. So take total. PGBP taxable for investment fund, everything else taxable for unit holder, whether distributed or not distributed. And as far as losses are concerned, there was an amendment last year. Earlier, all losses were carried forward by investment fund, but last year only it changed. Business loss, set off, carry forward, everything will be done by investment fund. Other losses, current year set off will be done by investment fund. Carry forward, we will pass through. For carry forward, we will give it to unit holders. But if you have held it for less than 12 months, then it will lapse. And whatever were the accumulated losses before this amendment, that will also be passed through to the unit holders for whatever is the remaining period. So earlier investment fund was carrying forward, now unit holder will carry forward for the remaining period. That was the rule for the accumulated losses before the rule change. And current year losses, business loss, investment fund will carry forward. Other losses, first fund will set off. If it is not set off, then carry forward will be done by unit holder, provided you have held for more than 12 months. That was your investment fund. Just that business income will be taxable for the fund and everything else will be taxable for the unit holder. And then in this sequence and series, last chapter for the day, I'll be doing this. Bonus stripping. Last year, this chapter had dividend stripping 94/7. Bonus stripping both. But because dividend exemption is deleted, that whole logic is over. What is bonus stripping? If you buy just prior to the record date, that is 3 months prior to the record date, only units, and sell within 9 months. So buy within 3 months, sell within 9 months. Buy within 3 months, sell within 9 months. Then the loss on original unit will be ignored and it will become cost of acquisition of your bonus units. Loss on original units will be ignored and it will be considered as cost of acquisition of your remaining, that is your balance bonus units. Balance bonus units. That's your bonus stripping transaction. Purchase within 3 months, sell within 9 months after the record date. Loss of original will become cost of acquisition of the bonus units. We will call it a day. Reason is that we have some very important upcoming chapters. Assessment of various entities like partnership, charitable trust, MAT, AM thing. In fact, business trust investment fund is also in that. I have broken up the chapters in a more logical manner. In ICAI, they are all merged into one in the study material, various entities. But I have segregated them and these lectures will strictly process the way I said, because these are important lectures, important chapters. So we will start in a fresh class and I request you to be patient and be cooperative with me and my admin team. I am trying to do the best for students, bringing the best results better than anybody else with all their marketing. Now they are not able to compete with all the paid subscribers and paid channels and paid advertisements, everything, whether it is websites like Google, whether it is a website like Quora, whether it is everywhere, it is still not generating better results. I am trying to do the best. Be patient. One thing is that I have guaranteed you that I am giving you revision cum amendment lecture, whatever duration, whatever number of episodes it takes. Thereafter, we will shift to MCQ season 2 and you are going to love it, I am telling you. Just wait. And I am doing it for you only. But just that, please give me good response. Dear students, I am a little disappointed. Of course, I don't have paid views and subscribers like other people. I am a little disappointed that I am uploading a lecture and I have to desperately tell the students that please watch. And despite being the best quality of lectures and results, the obviously good number of students are watching, but it is still much less. So kindly enlighten your other friends, your office colleagues about it. It will keep me motivated, and we will continue these sessions. Otherwise, after a point, if I get sick and tired, did I not tell you that I am a professor, not a YouTuber? Then I will discontinue whatever I am doing. YouTube is not my home ground. Not my. I know how to teach, and my classes are going on very, very nicely and smoothly. I have not sat home in the lockdown. Maximum that first lockdown, from the second lockdown, I have been taking online lectures, and I am doing really well. I'll stop doing all this YouTube thing. Okay, so please make sure that these lectures get what they deserve. Get what they deserve. That will be your responsibility, I'm telling you, students. Okay, so we'll continue with partnership form and other important chapters in the next class. Thank you very, very much.